In the heart of Lagos, where the streets buzzed with life and the air smelled of ambition, lived Chief Kenneth and his wife, Madam Eunice. They were wealthy beyond measure, owners of a booming real estate empire that stretched across Nigeria. Their mansion stood like a palace, with golden gates, high walls, and security guards who ensured no commoner trespassed. Yet, behind all that wealth was something missing, a family bound by love. Their only daughter, Stella, was born into privilege but grew up in loneliness. From infancy, nannies replaced a mother's warmth, and housekeepers taught her to walk instead of her father's guiding hand. Whenever she tried to reach out to her parents, they were too busy, always in meetings, traveling abroad, or hosting high-class parties. "Stella, everything we do is for you," Madam Eunice would say, handing her an expensive toy or a bundle of cash. "You're in the best school in the country," Chief Kenneth would add. "Do you know how much we pay for your education?" Indeed, Stella was enrolled in one of the most prestigious boarding schools in Nigeria, Grand Hill Academy, a place where the children of the elite were groomed to take over their family dynasties. The school was a fortress of luxury, with state-of-the-art facilities, international teachers, and meals fit for royalty. But despite its grand halls, Stella found herself trapped in a nightmare. The invisible girl. From the first day at Grand Hill Academy, Stella realized she was different. Though her parents were rich, they were not influential in the school's social hierarchy. Unlike the children of politicians, celebrities, or oil tycoons, she was an outsider. Her timid nature made her an easy target. The girls in her class, led by Sandra, the daughter of a senator, took pleasure in tormenting her. "See this one," Sandra would sneer, flipping her expensive braids. "You think money can buy respect? Sorry, darling, it doesn't work like that." They would push her in the hallways, spill food on her uniform, and take her belongings just to watch her suffer. If she dared to complain, they laughed. Reporting to the teachers was useless, most of them feared the children of powerful families. Lonely and broken, Stella wrote letters to her parents, begging them to bring her home or at least visit her. But their responses were always the same. "Focus on your studies. We are doing this for your future." With no one to turn to, she learned to endure the bullying, swallowing her pain like a bitter pill. A false savior. One evening, while sitting alone in the dining hall, Stella met Cynthia, a senior student in SS3. Unlike the other girls, Cynthia was warm and kind. She smiled at Stella, offered her snacks, and even defended her against Sandra's group. "Leave her alone," Cynthia warned one day when Sandra tried to take Stella's lunch. "Pick on someone your own size." From that moment, Stella saw Cynthia as her protector, her school mother. Cynthia walked her to class, helped her with assignments, and invited her to stay in her dorm whenever she felt scared. For the first time in years, Stella felt safe. But safety, as she would soon learn, was an illusion. The darkest secret. One night, Cynthia called Stella to her room, saying she had something special for her. Stella, excited and grateful, went eagerly. But as soon as she entered, the atmosphere shifted. Cynthia locked the door. "You trust me, right?" Cynthia whispered, sitting close to her. "I take care of you. You're my special girl." Stella felt uneasy. Something in Cynthia's eyes wasn't right. Then it happened. The touches. The whispers. The forceful grip. Stella froze, unable to understand what was happening. She wanted to scream, but her voice failed her. When she finally pushed Cynthia away, the older girl simply smiled. "SHH, don't be scared," Cynthia cooed. "You belong to me now." That night, Stella's world shattered. The silence of pain. After that incident, Stella changed. She stopped talking, stopped eating, and avoided everyone. She tried to tell a teacher once, but the woman brushed it off. Young girls these days are dramatic, the teacher sighed. You should be grateful Cynthia takes care of you. With no one to believe her, Stella carried the burden alone. Cynthia continued to torment her in secret, always acting like a loving guardian in public but a monster in private. The worst part. Stella's parents never noticed. When she came home for midterm break, thinner and quieter than before, her mother barely glanced at her. "Why do you look so dull?" Madame Eunice asked, examining her expensive dress. "You should be grateful you're in such a good school." Stella wanted to scream, to tell them everything. But she knew the truth, her words would fall on deaf ears. And so, the nightmare continued. The days dragged into months, and Stella's world darkened. She became a shadow of herself, silent, withdrawn, and haunted by fear. Her grades dropped, and her once bright eyes lost their light. No one noticed. At Grand Hill Academy, appearances mattered more than truth. Cynthia continued her abuse in secret, making Stella feel trapped and powerless. Sandra and her group still tormented her, now calling her Cynthia's pet, laughing whenever she flinched at their taunts. But every soul has a breaking point. The letter of despair. One night, unable to bear it any longer, Stella took a pen and paper. With shaky hands, she poured out everything, her loneliness, the bullying, the betrayal, and the unspeakable horror Cynthia inflicted on her. "Dear Daddy and Mommy, I know you are busy, but please listen this time. I am not okay. I am suffering. Cynthia hurts me in ways I cannot explain. Sandra and her friends make me feel like I do not exist. My teachers ignore me. I don't want to be in this school anymore. Please, save me before it's too late." She folded the letter and sealed it in an envelope. The next day, she handed it to a school driver and begged him to deliver it to her parents. Then she waited. Days passed. No response. That was when she knew her parents had not even read it. The breaking point. One afternoon, Stella was in the school library when Cynthia walked in, her eyes dark with possessiveness. "You've been avoiding me," Cynthia said, blocking her path. "You think you can run?" Something inside Stella snapped. The weight of her silence, the pain, the fear, it was too much. "No more," Stella whispered. Cynthia laughed. "What did you say?" "I said no more." Stella screamed, shoving Cynthia with all her strength. The entire library went silent. Cynthia, stunned, staggered back. For the first time in a long time, Stella felt powerful. She turned and ran out of the library, past the classrooms, and straight to the principal's office. Bursting in, tears streaming down her face, she cried, "I need help. Please, help me." The storm erupted. The principal, shocked by Stella's outburst, finally took notice. With trembling hands, Stella told everything: Cynthia's abuse, Sandra's bullying, the teacher's neglect. The room was dead silent when she finished. The principal, fearful of a scandal, hesitated. But this time, Stella refused to be ignored. "If you don't do something, I will," she declared. At that moment, fate intervened. Unbeknownst to Stella, the letter she had written had finally reached her parents. A housekeeper had found it unopened in Madame Eunice's study and, out of pity, placed it directly into Chief Kenneth's hands. That very morning, Stella's parents arrived at the school, furious. They stormed into the principal's office just as Stella was making her desperate stand. "What is happening here?" Chief Kenneth's voice boomed. When Stella turned and saw her parents, her emotions collapsed. She fell to her knees, sobbing. "Daddy. Mommy, you left me." For the first time in their lives, Chief Kenneth and Madame Eunice saw the truth: their daughter was not okay. The fight for justice. After hearing Stella's story, her parents were enraged. They demanded the immediate arrest of Cynthia and the expulsion of Sandra and her gang. The school tried to protect its reputation, but Chief Kenneth, a man of power and influence, would not back down. "I have spent millions on this school," he thundered, "but not a kobo of it was worth my daughter's suffering. This institution has failed her." He filed legal charges. Cynthia was arrested and charged for sexual assault. Sandra and her friends were expelled, their parents disgraced. Several teachers and the principal lost their jobs for negligence. And Grand Hill Academy shut down permanently. A new beginning. For the first time in years, Stella felt safe. Her parents, guilt-ridden, made a vow they would never neglect her again. They pulled her out of boarding school and enrolled her in a new school where she could heal and grow. Madam Eunice stopped traveling so much, and Chief Kenneth spent more time at home. It was not easy. The scars ran deep. But for the first time in her life, Stella knew she was no longer alone. And that was enough. I advise all parents, please look after your children. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.